All right. Hello, YouTubers. Today I have a guest, and his name is Scott Weatherholt. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, born and raised in the Midwest. I, I, my family and I moved from Southeast Michigan down to Fort Worth, Texas, about a couple years ago. As far as myself, I was born and raised as a uh, stutter. Ever since before I could even talk, I kind of knew. Well, but really to say that it felt just kind of going off with my parents how they would say that ever since I could talk, I've always had it. So they kind of knew from when I was growing up, and when I first realized it was around 4 or 5, maybe even 6. Um, so yeah, 37 years old, have a family. Um, I do IT for my career and all that good stuff. So that's me.
Very nice. You answered a couple of the questions I had already. Um, all right. Well, would you label yourself as more covert or overt?
I would say covert, 100%. Well, actually, since I'm on this channel with you now, I would probably say 99%. But usually 100. Usually, most of the time, I hide it, and a lot of it was just because of my experiences. A lot of the opportunities and a lot of these experiences that I put myself through or I was put in, maybe into a covert, just because of the outcome of some things. So whether or not I was denied job opportunities, or I was kind of left behind with friends, or I had this perception about me that they thought I was mentally slow, or whatever. So with those type of experiences, it kind of forced me into a covert lifestyle. And even to this day, I try to shake it, but it's amazing how some sort of how your experiences really, I guess, want to say haunt you a little bit, because you kind of
Mhm.
fall back into those ways of remembering the bad, even though you don't. There's been great opportunities and great things that happened in my life, but you always revert back to the pain that certain experiences kind of caught up with you. So you kind of put those on the forefront when you're about to meet somebody, things like that. You kind of have, okay, he's going to judge me. So,
Yeah.
but even though they may not judge me, it was just the perception that I've kind of was raised in. And my family never really taught me how to cope with it. They never really talked about it. They just thought that it would kind of blow over. So that's kind of a lot of those kind of fell back into the covert lifestyle that I had. So
Right. Well, I don't actually have this question on my list, but um, did you ever have any speech therapy growing up?
I did. So I want to say when I was 7 or 8, my mom put me in like a therapy group. It was like a mixture. So there was kids there with lisps, there was kids there with other speech impediments. So it wasn't just me, and it wasn't them just focusing on me and my problem. And I remember it like it was yesterday, actually. And a lot of it, I mean, they didn't really do much. We kind of played games and stuff like that. Maybe it got me more comfortable, but then I look at how it kind of impacted me afterwards and never really changed the way that I thought. So that was the first time. And then the second time I was in high school. That's when all the high school teachers didn't know what to do with me because they never had somebody with a speech impediment, surprisingly. So and I went to high school with 300 to 400 kids. Well, I began out with 300 to 400 kids. And so they put me, this like speech teacher, quote unquote, kind of took me downstairs into this like weird basement and kind of sat there and talked to me about my, my speech and maybe some techniques to deal with, but it wasn't really efficient. By then I learned how to talk. By then I knew what would work, what didn't work. I knew my weakness. I knew my weaknesses and stuff like that. I would try to explain that stuff, but it kind of went one ear and out the other. I don't think they were like a certified speech pathologist. I think maybe it was like, kind of looking back now, maybe some extracurricular activities that she took, maybe, but it wasn't like a certified speech pathologist. And then the third time, I was around 24, so it was a huge gap, and kind of like with the other two, or with the other one, it was kind of like assembly line feeling, where I was just another person that came. She wrote down my issues. She gave me some homework, some tips, some tricks of what to do and what not to do, how to cope with when that urge of wanting to stutter would come, but never really taught me how to cope with it by itself, So it was a lot of left out blanks that I wish a lot of these speech pathologists would actually kind of touch on. You're kind of like a life coach, when you look at it, because you're helping them build confidence at the same time, trying to help them cope and learn techniques of how to deal with your speech. So yeah, so I had 3 times.
Okay. Well, I have heard that, I also have experienced that speech therapy is changing over time, and they're working more on acceptance and looking at what's going on underneath all of the like the visual characteristics of our stutter. So it is definitely improving, and I last had it when I'd say 5 years ago, and it was pretty good. But
good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's good that it's improving, and that the younger generations can get those benefits.
Absolutely.
Plus, support groups and stuff too.
I think that's what's really important, is the support group, because just as bullying when you and I were growing up were kind of different, right? I didn't have a cell phone, social media was not a thing. I think I graduated high school in 2001. So by then, that was when cell phones kind of came up, but not really. And if you did have one, it was like very minimal amount of minutes, but you had free nights and weekends after 9 p.m. on Fridays, right? So those were the good old days. So, but nowadays, I mean, anybody can bully anybody and record it, and then you're kind of shamed online. And I mean, I don't see much with people with speech impediments can kind of bullying online much, but I haven't seen too much out there. But that is open. So
yeah. All right. So next question. Well, this one you already kind of answered. It was, how old were you when you first noticed your stutter? And that was like whenever you could talk, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Yeah. For me, it was around like 9, but that's a long story. What challenges
Were
do
you born with it?
Hmm. Well, mine is genetic, so I would say yes. And it didn't really, it didn't it become noticeable um, until I was 9, I
Okay,
guess.
gotcha.
Maybe it was there and I just didn't realize it because I was young. And you know how kids talk kind of strange when they're young.
Sure.
Um, so I probably didn't realize it. I don't know. But I would say that trauma brought it on more. Like it it triggered it to increase. I don't know if that's really how it happened, but that's how I see it happening for me.
Okay.
Um, is yours is yours genetic, or do you have any like relatives or anyone that stutters?
That's what's crazy. No, I'm the
No.
lone survivor in my family. I think it just kind of going off my mom's side, my dad's side. Nobody with not even a lisp. So yeah, I got that gene, I guess. So I'm not. I'm sure
It
somewhere
could
down the
be.
line somebody had it,
Um,
and maybe it was just such a weak gene that it just ended
yeah.
up in me and nobody else. I don't
Well, that's
know.
okay. It's a cool gene to have,
So
right? Um, okay. So, what challenges do you remember with wait, what challenges do you remember having as a child with a stutter?
probably the biggest thing was making friends. Um, I mean, I went to a parochial school, and when you would think it'd be more having a loving mindset, and it was the complete opposite, really. So kind of since kindergarten, I've always been an outcast. Making friends was probably the hardest thing to do. Secondly, probably knowing who I am, right? Because I did because I had a hard time gaining friends. I didn't know who I was, so I didn't know how to really just be me and just be confident with who I am. And I've been cut with sports because they thought I didn't know how to read. My high school basketball coach cut me because of that. Um, I was just probably constantly just being judged, um, being looked at as that weird kid, not given the opportunity to do much. And it really, in elementary, I felt my confidence just completely diminished. I didn't know how to handle my speech impediment. I felt like I was sliding on ice. Every time I talk, around fourth grade was probably the worst year I've ever had. I had so many nicknames like the chainsaw, right? Every time I would try to spit out the word thud, it would be a the. So it would just be a chainsaw. So that was one of my nicknames that I got at school was chainsaw. And with that kind of um, attack constantly, it really played a game on my mind of not really going to amount to anything, not really knowing who I was, and trying to discuss it with my parents, and didn't really go over too well because they kept on saying, "Oh, it's okay," things like that. Like, no, it's really not okay. This is how I feel, and I don't know how to deal with this. Like, I don't know how to cope with it. Who am I, and why do I have this, and why do other people not have it, and how do I get this fixed? This was before I even knew that there was no fix for it because nobody really did a lot of homework on it. So um, the reflection of how people treated me was a reflection that I based myself off of, and And so that was probably the two biggest hurdles simultaneously. The biggest challenge was making friends, but simultaneously knowing who I was.
Nice. Yeah, I can relate to that too. It's definitely hard as a kid because kids do not know what is going on, and it's not like they could like go home and look it up online.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, especially when we were growing up, that was not the case at all. So
Yeah. And it's like, of course you can read. I mean, you went through school and you went through all your grades, right? So,
well, he said I didn't know how to read basketball players, so he used the speech impediment as well. I don't think Scott really knows how to read plays, so I mean he could have just cut me. I mean he's a grown man, right? I'm just a high schooler, but you could have just cut me and just be honest with me and say I'm not that good, right? So I mean it would have been better than using that for my excuse. Like, is that really the only excuse you can think of? Seriously? So,
shame on him. Right. What age or at what age do you feel that you had a turning point in how you viewed your stutter?
probably last year, around 36. I've always 36 was when I met up with, which I just found out about the speech impediment groups, right? So the groups to meet up with, and that's when I met up with all of them. I never knew those even existed, and come to find out they're actually nationwide. And that was a big help. I was able to see other people in the same problem that I have, and that was probably the biggest turning point. I'm still learning from my own mind how to adjust and how to kind of accept me for me. But that's a work in progress because it's been so long of trying to feel that way that it's kind of stuff that I have to figure out continually, kind of getting my habits in order and trying to figure out how to more or less love who I am, despite having a speech impediment. And then once I fully ingrain and trust in that, then I can probably do bigger things. It's those hurdles, right? They always say fake it until you make it. Well, I've been faking it for the last 37 years. That really got me anywhere yet. So now I have to really put my emotions to a serious concept and realize, okay, this is not working. I'm still ticked off at this. I'm still I'm still frustrated. I still hide it. I still deny it, even though it's there. And so, yeah, it's work in progress. But I would have to say about 36.
Okay. I'd say my turning point was 2018, so 2 years ago, when I went to my first NSA annual conference. Yes, that was awesome because I was around like 900 people who stuttered, and no one was judging me, and I just talked freely, and we just like hung out, went around Illinois and Chicago,
Right.
and we just hung out. We did normal people stuff like going out to eat and stuff, and it was just really awesome.
Yeah.
Are you planning on going to a conference in the
I
near
would love
future?
to. I would love to. I did attend the virtual one. Well, I didn't do them all, but I attended some of the seminars and everything that they host online. But Yeah, but yeah, that's my goal. I would love to go to one of them. So hopefully
Yes.
2021 will be a better year, and we can all finally go to one.
Hopefully. I'm pretty sure they haven't come to a conclusion yet on if they're having it in person or online again, but hopefully it's in person because
Yeah.
next year, I mean, a lot can change. We can have a vaccination and it could just go away far, far away, some other planet, you know,
Hmm.
um, and things can be normal again. So
That's
hopefully
right.
they will be.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
I think with this type of you know, I think with this being in person is much different and much better. It really forces people into an uncomfortable situation, but yet you can
Yeah.
kind of relax because everybody's the same, you know,
Right.
for the most part.
Yeah.
So it definitely kind of it does break people out of the shell. So I will have to agree with you on that for sure.
Yes. It was awesome. Um, let's see. I have a couple more questions, and we're doing good with time. Um, what has your experience been like in the workforce as a person with a stutter?
It's it's been unique to say the least. I started out when I was 18. I started to do IT work, right? So I worked with a couple of my high school buddies. They had a little side business, or they had their only business actually, and it was their IT business. So it was very homegrown. It was we did a lot of house to house, walked door to door to build up their business, and that was great. It taught me a great skill. And on top of that, I actually had to talk to a lot of people, surprisingly. Um, and in all my career paths, I kind of from there always had the desire to be a cop. So between the age of like between 21 and like 25, 26, I was trying to be a cop, and I was getting no opportunities. And I think a lot of it was just because I just wanted to talk. You know, I've always had the desire just to talk and be that go-to guy to maybe save some lives and things like that. And it could be just the fact that I didn't really have a really positive childhood in terms of my speech and how I thought about myself. So I wanted to try to do something that maybe would. And I mean, I've applied for Detroit Police Department, Dallas Police Department. I applied for a few in Georgia, um, and they all denied me because of my speech. So I put myself through the police academy, thinking, okay, well, maybe if I get some experience and show that I can do this, then I might get a chance. And went through the police academy, and then I had a job interview with this um, sheriff department by where you used to live in uh, Washtenaw County, and he was very honest. This lieutenant, and he told me, he kind of pulled me in. He said, "You know, you had a good interview, but I'll be honest with you, you're high risk." And I was really relieved. Surprisingly, it sounds weird, but I was very relieved because I finally got somebody was actually honest with me about it. I knew in all the other job interviews I had, everything was going fine. Everybody felt confident. I felt confident until they asked me, okay, what is your weakness? And when I brought up about my, you know, I'm not going to lie about it. So I brought up about my speech impediment, but I turned into a positive. Man, I have never seen so many people write on their pad of paper in my life. I mean, they were so fast, and you can feel the vibe after that question and how I answered it. That everything was going, and all of a sudden the mood just sunk. Like, okay, I think we're done here, you know. So so thankfully that one lieutenant was very honest with me, and he said just because of my speech, I was a high risk. You know, what if I couldn't spit it out on the radio fast enough, and it could have caused lives, and he's right, you know, and I knew that going in. I knew that was even that even crossed my mind. Even before I started to even want to be a cop, that crossed my mind. So I kind of gave up on that goal. I kind of put that off to the side. I did join the military during that whole process to get some experience in law enforcement, but I ended up actually going IT. I was kind of like more or less like a law enforcement sort of in the Coast Guard, but then I moved over to IT, and things have just kind of took off from there. IT is a covert situation, right? So it was I when I signed up, nobody questioned my speech impediment. When I was at boot camp around week 3, they called me out on it. They were going to kick me out. They were actually wondering how I got through the interview process. Week 6, I had to I took a speech test, which I read like a paragraph, and I foobarred it. I mean, it was bad. It was super bad. A lot of it was my nerves. And they gave me another chance. They're like, come back in 2 weeks. This will be your last chance. If you can't read this paragraph again, I'm going to have to discharge you. So obviously, my nerves at the time. I just wanted to do something without being judged for my speech and being impacted. And when I read that paragraph, week 6 of boot camp, I remember like it was yesterday. It was like a Holy Spirit intervention moment, because I talked the cleanest I've ever did in my entire life. And vowels are not my specialty, right? Vowels I always mess up in vowels. And it felt like the paragraph had like 45 vowels in it. And I just said it clean and smooth. Everybody was happy, and they kind of let me go. And since that time in boot camp, I've always kept my speech as covert in the Coast Guard. I never made it public. I never told anybody that I had it. Do they know that I have it? Sure. But I don't, they never say anything to me, and I don't say nothing to them. And as long as it doesn't impact my mission, which I do IT, so there's no really mission impacting with it at all, then I'm fine. So I've spent the last 14 years has been a huge success. A lot of people had a lot of great experiences, really pushed me to the challenge of being a leader of myself and with other people around me. And then I do IT now. So I do IT in my civilian life too. So I'm a lead tech for a contract house here in Fort Worth, and with the federal government. And it's been, I have a team of 2 guys, and I just, I'm always in meetings. I'm always talking. I'm always encouraging. I'm always pushing. So it's been a great up and down. I'll just put it that way. So I think IT was where I was supposed to be all along. I kind of went into IT because I didn't want to talk to anybody, right? But it feels like it's like the complete opposite.
Well, my commentary on that is that, I don't know, like, to judge a person on the way they talk, that's discrimination. And there's laws now. I don't know if, I think it was, of 1990, the law was that no jobs and stuff can discriminate against a person based on like a disability, and I guess that's the stutter is in that category at times, depending on how severe it is. So really, when a person goes to apply to a job, and like if they don't get the job, the employer can't tell the person that the reason why you didn't have this is because of the way you talk. Which I get, like, to be a cop and stuff, you have to, I guess, talk quickly, and even to be like a nurse and a doctor, stuff like that, you have to talk quickly. Although, like, I know of not personally, although I have read that there are lots of people who stutter who have those careers. So I don't know how they got through all their little tests and stuff, but they did it somehow. And I think in today's world, that things are changing, and once we get the awareness out there that stuttering is not like a mental challenge, or it's not something negative, it's actually a positive, then maybe things will change, and there will be less struggle in getting jobs and careers going.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean, if you enjoy what you do, that is the most important thing in life. Like, you have to enjoy what you do, or it's not worth doing. So
I agree. And I think I was being protected from being a cop because I think that would have been on my mind the entire time. It's like, oh, I had a great day yesterday. Is today? Am I going to have a bad day today speaking? And you know as well as I that some days are just horrible. You just don't know why. Like, I feel fine. I'm not like ticked off at anything. I'm not overburdened with stress per se or anything like that, but I'm just having just a bad day of talking. And some people don't even word it as a bad day. It's they kind of word it as a challenging day. It's a reflection day of being able to know who you are. So it's kind of how they put it anyway.
right.
So,
and I've come to the conclusion that not having enough sleep can alter how we talk, like how fluent or not fluent we are. Because if you're tired, there's more chance of having words not come out clearly, and that's true with even people who are like fluent all the time. Actually, no one is completely fluent.
that's true.
Everyone trips up on stuff, but we actually have, I don't really want to call it a label, but we actually have a speech impediment, unlike others who just trip up here and there, kind of thing. But yeah, it's all
That's
good.
a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good way.
Well,
within the military and stuff like that, and like that public service, they kind of labeled as fit for duty, right? So you always have to do a PT test. You always have to, you have to stay make a minimum requirements. And I never understood the whole speech impediment thing because I never read anything in the policy that said that they had to speak fluently. They just said that you had to talk on radio. But it never said you had to speak fluently on the radio. I mean, nobody. My brother-in-law's a cop, but I know quite a few cops, and they can even vouch that radio ethics is just it's horrible. And I even met a couple of Dallas PDs since I moved down here, and they said that they've had a few of their members have really bad speech impediments. So it's like, seriously. so why did I not have that job? So obviously I was being protected from something, and what that is, I don't know.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yep, it does. This is true.
And also, I want to make a note that when a job ad must have good communication skills, like that used to make me so mad, because in my head I was like, good communication skills as in talking, and I was like, well, I can't do that. But
same thing I thought.
good communication skills is not just how you verbally talk. It's more than that. Like, it's your expressions, like with your eyes and stuff, and also like if you're smiling, then you look happy. So
Sure.
you're communicating that you're happy and that you're not like going to knock a person's head off, like um and also like if there's a problem, then you go and tell like a higher up or whoever that you're supposed to tell. That is also good communication skills. Like who to communicate when, you know so like communication, it's not just the talking, it's more than that. Plus there's a lot of other ways we can communicate too, but won't get into that right now because I could go on forever. But yeah. So, but to wrap this up, what message would you like to share with those who feel powerless against their stutter?
I would say the most important thing is not to lose hope within yourself. There's no amount of speech pathologists, no amount of human beings on earth that will give you the hope if you still walk around with that hopeless mentality, with that victim kind of mentality. I used to do that. I used to be that guy. Um, to play victim because it was easier, right? And so don't give up on hope, and really don't be afraid to take risks because it's the risks that I took that really build my confidence, even though it felt like I took setbacks, but really it was just me understanding who I was more and more. And unfortunately, more or less with my experiences, it was more pain than happiness. But the ones that were happy were great because I learned more and more about myself and everything, and really just building a routine of happiness, of positivity. Um, don't get up in the morning and watch the news. That's for sure. Just get up every day and understand, just speak positive to inside to to yourself. Put them in the mirror. There was some psychology paper I read, or like a article a couple of years ago. I'll try to find that actually. Maybe you can put it within your show notes. But it was like people that spoke positively to people, or people that spoke positively to themselves in the morning, and gave somebody a helping hand, and gave somebody a more positive message, even though they were having a bad day. They were almost 70 times more likely to be happy, and therefore speech was not nowhere near their problem. Even though they may have had a speech impediment that day, even though they might have messed up or they had a bad day, still talking, helping somebody else, put a smile on somebody else's face was greater. And it's something programmed within our body where when we give thanks, when we speak hope to somebody else, it just changes our mood. It's a very, very positive and powerful thing when you think you're powerless speaking. Give somebody else a word of encouragement, and then all of a sudden you'll feel that power back. It's a great thing. Um, when I realized that, it helped me break down my own walls and barriers. I still have my walls. I still have my enormous barriers. Um, but I came a long way from when I got denied being a cop between the ages of 25, 26 on till now. Definitely came a long way. Um, I had a, I have, I kind of had a very uncompassionate heart towards people because of my experiences. I had a kind of a hatred towards humans, because of how I was treated and judged and everything, and realized that there's some good people out there that truly do love you, truly do appreciate you, and really will listen to you, despite it may take us a little bit longer to get our message. So find something that puts a smile on your face, and do that every single morning, whether or not it's working out, whether or not you read the Bible, whether or not you do something. But it's how you begin your day will impact your entire day. So
Yeah, I agree. The power of positivity is a strong one.
power of words destroyed us growing up. Well, me anyway. They destroyed me growing up, so now I have to use positive words to build myself back up. Since it's a two-way street, words can either destroy you or they can help you. They can inspire you or they can demotivate you, right? So if the same words that came out of people's mouths put me down, then I'm sure I can say some words to build me back up. So, and life is way too short. You kind of have to realize one day, including myself, that's like, screw it. I'm just going to talk, take some risks, and life's short, so I'll just keep on being me, I guess.
And that's the only person you can be, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
What was I gonna say? Well, yes. I hate when I blank. I was gonna say, that everyone in the world has a challenge. It may not be, a talking challenge, but it could be that they're blind or they can't hear or they're missing a limb or um, or they're overweight and they're having a hard time losing weight, or that they have a quick metabolism and they're really skinny, and everyone wonders, like, is that person eating or are they not eating? Like, everyone has a challenge, and we just have to try our hardest to move past the challenge and to concentrate on all of our other blessings that we have in life. Because we do have many that a lot of people in the world do not have. So life could always be a lot harder than it is.
Absolutely. Yes. No, it's, you hit that spot on. There's always somebody out there that has it worse, right? So kind of just not demeaning people's feelings, and not undermining how you may feel or how I may feel or how somebody else with speech impediment may feel in that present moment of their life. But just if people would keep that perception that says, hey, there's somebody else out there. I'm sure somebody would rather take that's deaf or blind would rather have our problem than not see, right?
For sure. Well, this was a nice chat. Thank you so much for being a guest on my channel.
Not a problem. Thank you for the invitation, for sure.
Yeah, we hope to see more of you.
Sounds good.
In the future, and talk more. Yes.
Well, I'm always open to jump on your monthly meetings. So
yes, there's the NNSA has chapters all over the U.S. and I'm a co-leader of the Buffalo, New York chapter, and we have meetings every third week of the month, usually on Mondays or sometimes Wednesdays. this month, it's going to be the 19th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to join in on that, that would be cool. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have some interesting topics to talk about. So the more the merrier.
How can somebody get a hold of you to get their name thrown on that list?
That's a good question. Um, if you know me personally, you can email me. If you don't know me personally, then I also have another email that is directly linked to our chapter. So I will have that in the notes on the video. And you can email that, or you can also leave a comment on this video asking about the meeting and what the link is. Yeah, that would be fun to have some newcomers join us.
Sounds good.
All right, well, let's say adios to YouTube.
Thank you again.
Yes. All right, everybody have a lovely day.